First up, I want to talk a little bit more with Bruce Linton and Kevin, so I'm going to ask you guys to stick around for a focus on Canopy Growth and Acreage Holdings. Shareholder votes for both companies are slated for mid-June, in just a couple of weeks' time, to approve a deal in place for Canopy to acquire Acreage Holdings when the sale of cannabis becomes legally permissible at a federal level in the United States. If approved, it will set you guys up to become the largest global cannabis company between Canopy's international focus and Acreage's U.S. footprint. Both of you guys, though, have been assuring me that it's going to pass. You've been pretty clear about that. But Bruce, let's start with you, because the deal only costs Canopy $300 million up front once this deal gets approved, which means you're still going to have a hoard of cash on your hands, including that $4 billion from Constellation Brands we talked about, to put to work in the meantime. And we've seen you acquire a bunch of brands, one being a cosmetic line, since that deal's been announced.
Yep.
So I just want to ask about what you plan on doing with that cash, and if we're expecting CBD to be playing as large of a role, considering we've seen the FDA kind of punt at the latest here.
Well, so there's, we're global, right? And this morning we put out a press release and we're talking about the 60 clinical activities we have. So initiated by doctors or phase 2B, phase 3. So these are a whole raft of indications we're going after, but big R&D. We have 90 plus patents issued to us, and we have over 200 that we've filed, so we got a lot of spend there. We think in the US, it's going to be state by state on CBD, and we probably should turn up 6 or 7 states with processing capabilities to create product for those states.
Yeah.
So you start doing that, and you can look at it and say, well, there's going to be a lot of IP in the brands related to medical research. There's going to be a lot of hemp growth. The rest of the world after Canada is just heating up, so we need to be able to turn our activities up in Europe. And so when you go through that, there's quite a need for capital, to the point we're actually looking at how do we rotate the invested capital, call it $1.5 billion that we have in real assets in Canada. How do we set up something like a lease lend back so we can have that cash additional to spend?
Interesting.
So there's, and everything we create, the idea is that Kevin and his team have access to it. So when we spend the money, then they end up having a deeper pool of benefit that we can license down for no value.
Yeah, Kevin, I wanted to ask you about that too, because that was kind of the selling point of this deal to your shareholders is, look, we're going to bring a Canopy along, and we're going to be able to use some of those learnings as we continue to grow.
Every smart businessman knows that they need good partnership to lead to good prosperity. From our vantage point, we were humble enough to know, being the dominant player or the largest player in the United States, that we wanted to ultimately be a global player. We didn't have designs on the globe before Bruce and I had gotten together. This now gives us the opportunity to do just that and really secure our place in history.
Okay. Bruce, when we're talking about hemp, though, of course, that's kind of linked with CBD, more the plant that you can extract that from. So we're talking about hemp. Last time when I chatted with you in February, you mentioned you were potentially investing up to $500 million into U.S. hemp production in not just New York, but 2 to 3 other more states. Are you looking to bump that now that we've seen CBD kind of take over?
Yeah, so we're going to let mostly others produce, right? We're not going to be the farmer, but what we're going to do is we're going to take the plant and we're going to process it, and then we're going to put the resulting ingredients into products that people want to buy. And we think there's a big market to do it right. We did a fairly large gathering of a bunch of the CBD products that are in the market right now.
Yeah.
And we found 80% of them were more than 10% mislabeled, meaning they were off by more than 10%. And so what we think the big box guys want, and the large chains, is actually a large, capable supply chain that makes a good product through a chain of custody that doesn't result in sellouts and doesn't result in recalls. And so we think 6, 7 states, probably the right number between
6 or 7.
Yeah, we think this is moving faster than we expected. We already got a position in New York State. We already have our plan. It's just replicate based on size in the other states.
So you want to build something as large as the New York operation?
Well, New York's a pretty big state, right? Big population, so you don't need as large as that for most states.
Yeah.
But you do need the ability to process product that's produced in the state, because a lot of states are saying, well, interstate commerce is permissible. If you want a license in our state, you need to process in our state, and the product needs to come from our state.
But 6 to 7 states would be double what you were planning.
We're ambitious, but we
what
need to start because we think what's going to happen is the states are going to govern this, and it's going to govern it for 2 or 3 or 4 years, and the markets are going to be made for how you produce and put product on the shelf before the FDA is there.
Got it.
And the FDA is going to merge in over top, so you have to think about that, but you have to not wait for that.
Okay. Kevin, when we talk about ambitious plans, you're no stranger to those as well. We talked about Illinois off the top of the show, potentially being the next state to legalize. You're already operating there. You got 20 state licenses. One of them is for the state of Illinois. How quickly will you start to ramp up things in that state, as it looks like 2020 will become the starting point?
Very quickly, as we will be ramping up in New Jersey and New York and the rest of the states. But we are as excited about Illinois as we are about all the other states, Nevada, California. And so from our vantage point, we're looking at as the whole, and couldn't be more excited about the 5th largest state in the United States legalizing. I think it's a conservative state. It's a state that has shown sensible cannabis reform, and I think others are going to learn from that as well.
All right, very good. Kevin Murphy and Bruce Linton, thank you guys so much again for taking the time. Thank you for playing along in my game, too. People were nervous.
Enjoyed the game.
Thank you.
That went better than I expected,
I know,
so we're
right?
for
Me
sure
too.
coming back. Yeah.
And all the hard questions.
All right. Yeah, no, thank you guys
you.
very much. Appreciate it.